Good evening. Welcome to our first council session of 2014. At this time, I'd like to invite everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And immediately following the pledge, Mr. Williams will be praying for us tonight. So thank you very much. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shall we pray? Oh God of us all, we acknowledge your presence even here with us this evening. We know that you're with us in every circumstance, good and bad, and for that we are thankful. As we enter into a new year, we give you thanks for the many things that you have blessed us with. We thank you for our community, and we thank you for our mayor and all of the council members. We thank you for our village manager and the other municipal staff. The work that they do is not always easy, but it's important for the well-being of our community. Oh God, we also thank you for all those who help to keep us safe. Thank you for our businesses, and most of all, we thank you for each one who chooses to make West Milton their home. As we enter into this new year, we also wait in anticipation for the new things this year will bring. We look forward with hope for all the great things that you have in store for us. We ask that you bless this meeting tonight, guide and direct the decisions and the discussions, that our community may continue to be a place where people want to live and grow into the people you have created them to be. We ask all of this in the name of the one who has great plans for West Milton. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Williams, for joining us tonight and praying for us. At this time, we're going to start off with the oaths of office for Mayor Coate, Councilmember Willis, and Councilmember Miller. So we'll start off with the mayor.
Repeat after me. I, please state your name.
I, Michael Coate II,
Being duly sworn,
be duly sworn
according to law,
say that I will support
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Charter and the codified ordinances
the Charter and the codified ordinances
of the Municipality of West Milton, Ohio,
of the Municipality of West Milton, Ohio,
and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge the duties
as mayor
of the Municipality of West Milton in Miami County, Ohio, during my continuance in said office.
Thank you. All right, Mrs. Willis.
Please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, please state your name.
I, Susan Willis,
Being duly sworn
according to law,
say that I will support
the
Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Charter and codified ordinances
of the Municipality of West Milton, Ohio, of the Municipality of West Milton, Ohio,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially
discharge the duties
as council member
as council member
of the Municipality of West Milton
of the Municipality of West Milton
in Miami County, Ohio,
in Miami County, Ohio,
during my continuance in said office.
during my continuance in said office.
Mr. Miller.
Can you raise your right hand, please? And repeat after me. I, please state your name,
I, Anthony Miller,
being duly sworn,
being duly sworn
according to law,
according to law,
say that I will support
say that I will support
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Charter and codified ordinances
the Charter and the codified ordinances
of the Municipality of West Milton,
of the Municipality of West Milton,
Ohio,
Ohio,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and
impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as council member
as council member
of the Municipality of West Milton
of the Municipality of West Milton
in Miami County, Ohio,
in Miami County, Ohio,
during my continuance in said office.
during my continuance of said office.
We'll need everyone's signature on those documents before.
At this time, the meeting is now in order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Francis.
Here.
Willis.
Here.
Tinnerman.
Here.
Fogel.
Here.
Ashley.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
And Mayor Cope.
Here. The following is the certificate of the clerk of the council of the presiding officer to the presiding officer of the council of West Milton was read. The undersigned certified that all requirements to notice and notification have been done or attempted to be done in compliance with Council Rule 3. Signed, Linda Cantrell. At this time, it's once in every 2 or 4 years, we elect a chairperson to council. And so at this time, we'll take nominations and vote for that.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Fogel. Scott?
And I would like to nominate Susan Willis.
Any other nominations? Yeah. We don't need to make a motion, we just take a vote. Do we do it by paper
By
ballot?
paper, since there's more than one.
Yep.
Yeah, just take one. You go to Linda. Pass them down.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Susan Willis, 1 for Scott Fogel, and no on both.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
So congratulations, Mrs. Willis.
Thank you.
Now the council chairperson. Now it's official.
Now it's official.
Now it's official. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve our council minutes from December. You should all have received them and hopefully read them, so.
I make a motion to approve the council meeting minutes from December.
Second motion.
Any discussion regarding those minutes? Roll call, please.
Francis,
Yes.
Willis,
Yes.
Tinnerman,
Yes.
Vogel,
Yes.
Ashley,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
and Mayor Coe.
Yes. You also should have received your workshop minutes from December, and I will entertain a motion to adopt those minutes as written.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion regarding those minutes? Okay. Roll call, please.
Francis,
Yes.
Willis,
Yes.
Tinnerman,
Yes.
Vogel,
Yes.
Ashley,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
and Mayor Coe.
Yes. The minutes have been approved. At this time, we have Community Pride Award Christmas lights for the month of December. And I'd like to, are any of our award winners in attendance tonight? Make sure, okay.
My guess is,
Mr. Klein? Yeah.
my guess is Cole kept.
Cold's kept them away, but I'd like to read off the names of those and their addresses. They're probably all taken down by now, so you can't enjoy them anymore, but we look forward to next year's competition as well. Their names are David and Vicki Brown at 56 Donna Jane Court, Bob and Marcia Cox at 275 West Market Street, and Jason and Kat Land at 24 Wagner Road. And so I'm sure Mr. Klein will see that they get their awards at some point in the future. And congratulations to all of those award winners. Mr. Klein, is there correspondence for council to this evening?
Not for this evening, Mayor.
Thank you. I'll welcome comments from citizens tonight regarding our legislation that's on the agenda. No comments? All right. We'll move on to our ordinances before us this evening. Mrs. Brosh? No rush. Would-
It's ordinance CM-13-28, an ordinance to appropriate funds necessary for the various departments and offices of the Municipality of West Milton, Ohio for the year 2014.
Mr. Mayor, I move to amend ordinance 13-28 as follows. I'll read the fund title and then the amount which it should be amended by, and then a new amended total. To the general fund, $12,850. The new total should be $1,874,934. Street levy fund, $85,000 for a new total of $178,000. Street construction and maintenance fund of $1,400 for a new total of $291,675. Water capital improvement fund of $1,675 for a new total of $396,326. Sewer capital improvement fund of $26,675 for a new total of $438,981. Water fund of $1,100 for a new total of $773,994. Sewer fund of $900 for a new total of $422,106. For a total appropriations of all funds, $4,509,218.16.
Thank you, Mr. Francis. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion regarding this motion to amend the appropriations? Okay. Roll call, please.
Francis,
Yes.
Willis,
Yes.
Tinnerman,
Yes.
Vogel,
Yes.
Ashley,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
and Mayor Coe.
Yes. Thank you.
Can I make a motion to pass the passage of the budget, CM
13-28.
13-28, as amended?
I second that.
Is there any discussion regarding that? No? Okay. Roll call, please.
Francis,
Yes.
Willis,
Yes.
Tinnerman,
Yes.
Vogel,
Yes.
Ashley,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
and Mayor Coe.
Yes. The ordinance has been passed as amended. Our second ordinance is CM-13-32. Mrs. Bonish.
An ordinance to amend Chapter 52, Water Rules and Regulations, and to specifically amend the definition on Section 52.003 and Section 52.116A of the West Milton Municipal Code titled Water Rates and Municipality.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adopt this ordinance.
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion regarding this ordinance?
I just do have one question in reference to this. At the last meeting, Manager Klein, we had an individual that had some significant questions and issues with the way things were written. Were we able to satisfy him in reference to the way the language is written and the issues that he had at hand when he spoke at the last meeting?
Well, when he was actually speaking on the water rules and regs as to the one that was passed in December. I quite honestly didn't get a chance to talk to him after the meeting. I know several of the other council members got a chance to talk with him. He has not approached the office or has called or anything since then.
Okay, I was just
So,
curious because
I'm
that's how we left it.
I know one or two of you may have talked to him after the meeting, but I did not get a chance to.
Okay. All right, I was just curious because I know, he had a lot of questions and concerns with the way things were written, and I just didn't know if we
Yeah, I
for sure
think,
closed the loop with that.
I think that we were trying to explain to him at that meeting that many of his concerns were being addressed by the ordinance at the time. So the one that I don't think that we could ever satisfy was what he was terming the credit. I don't see any way, you're not going to prepay for water. So I don't know any community that actually does that. So I just don't think that that's something that we'd be able to satisfy that question.
Okay.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Francis?
Yes.
Willis? Yes. Tinnerman?
Yes.
Vogel?
Yes.
Ashley?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
And Mayor Coe.
Yes. The ordinance to amend water rates has been passed. At this time, we will turn our attention to Mr. Klein for his report.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, Councilmember Willis and Councilmember Miller, congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome to the new term. Welcome to the new term to all of council. My report actually tonight has various parts, but it also includes presentations from other individuals. If you might recall, I know even as Councilmember Miller was Councilmember-elect Miller in December, some questions arose in discussion about the Lowhead Dam. And to the point where it became a realization, I believe, of all of us that decisions were made from past councils, not anybody that was on the current council. So we thought it would be behoove of us to have a historical perspective of how we got to where we are and to give you an update as to where we're at in the permitting process. So I asked Mr. Rich Cogan from the Ohio Rivers Foundation to attend tonight. I believe Mr. Cogan has been involved in the vast majority, if not all, of the time that that this whole process has gone on. So if it's all right, I'd like to give a few minutes to Mr. Cogan. I believe there is a small, brief PowerPoint which he brought electronically, so our TV audience would also be able to see it. They'll still be able to hear his presentation, and it should be on the screen. So right now, we'll introduce Rich.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. My name is Rich Cogan. I am Executive Director of Ohio River Foundation. We're a conservation nonprofit based in Cincinnati, but we work regionally throughout the entire Ohio River watershed, restoring rivers and improving water quality for 25 million people. So anyway, I've handed out to Matt to distribute to you a timeline for this particular project that dates, well, on paper from the construction of the dam back in about 1908 through today. So as that goes around, feel free to start looking at it. But I can take you line by line through the document. However, I think it would be more constructive to give you an overview relative to what's on the document, and then if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me, or we can wait till the end. But I don't have any formal presentation. It might be more efficient to just ask me a question as one pops into your mind. So this particular project concerns a dam that was constructed in the early 1900s. It's approximately 100 years old, and based upon its current condition where it is deteriorating, back in 2010, the council back then, based on some of the documents that are mentioned there on what you've been handed, decided that it was in the best interest of the council to authorize the then village manager to submit a nomination for a grant from Ohio EPA to remove the dam for free. So there is no cost to the village for removal of the dam. And so that's basic history concerning what has led us to today. The dam is currently in the permitting process to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. It is expected that the permits will be issued sometime next summer, and the dam will be removed next fall. I can stop there. Is there any particular issue concerning its removal that you want me to touch on?
About how long will the process take once you start removing the dam?
The actual removal will probably take us several weeks, but then there is restoration work to do on the banks of the river where the dam, the footprint of the dam is, as well as upstream of the dam, as well as some in-stream or in-river restoration. That restoration work will take place between when the dam is removed and probably culminating the following summer. There will also be, after all that is done, 5 years of monitoring that will go on, annual monitoring that will go on, that will be performed by not just the consultants, but also probably Ohio EPA and ODNR.
Will that control house there that's adjacent to the dam, that will also be removed as well?
It is expected that the dam and all buildings will be removed, yes.
When you say expected, what would make it not be removed?
Good point. Currently, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, through the permitting process, has designated the structure as eligible for a listing on the National Historic Register. As a part of that designation, it is now asking for proposals from the public as well as the village as to what types of mitigation can be offered for its removal. And that can take the form of a plaque, a documentary, education of the public. So those types of mitigation activities will occur, and depending upon what is agreed to by the Corps as well as some of the consulting parties, that will determine if the structure stays in any form or fashion, meaning just the building. The dam itself is going to be removed under the permit. The position of Ohio Department of Natural Resources is that all structures should be removed. So that's why I'm hedging as to saying that that structure will definitely be removed.
So you saying that structure is on the Register of Historic Places?
No.
Oh, it's not. Okay, it's not even on there yet.
No.
Okay,
But it has met certain criteria
okay.
to be eligible for listing on the National Historic Register. So it is not on the National Historic Register.
But if that happened, that still wouldn't stop the removal of the dam?
I do not know. Probably not, based upon the interest of Ohio Department of Natural Resources, Ohio EPA, the federal agencies, meaning Fish and Wildlife Service. So there's a lot of agency interest. So I can't say for sure. I'm not an expert in that particular area.
Now, did that also, that type of situation also happen with the dam, the low head dam that was at the Englewood Reserve that was removed many years ago?
No.
No.
No, that was a much younger dam.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that dam, was it 1960s? It was not a very old dam.
Okay.
It also did not have the history of hydroelectric power from the early 1900s. There was a lot more history involved with this dam as opposed to that just being a low-head dam for, I believe, water supply.
I have to apologize in case you may have mentioned this. I had to step out for just a brief second, but I know that the Army Corps of Engineers has extended the comment period, but the last notification that I received was it extended the period to the 1st of January, and I didn't know if that was a hard date or the way I read it meant like the first week of January, and I didn't know where were they or where are they now in that comment period, do you know?
I believe they are still accepting comments, typically based on my experience in filing comments with the Corps of Engineers. If you have comments to file, it's a soft deadline, as long as you're not sending it to them months beyond the listed deadline. So my suggestion is if there are still comments to be sent in by the public, is they should not delay in sending those comments. They will still be read by the Corps of Engineers.
This issue of historical mitigation, is that the best way to put it? Was brought forth to us a few weeks ago, and we responded, or I responded, I should say, by suggesting that what we could do was use Tom's talents with WMPA and that he's done in the past, like with the school and some other issues, of doing an historical documentary, inviting people who may have some memories, a local historian here in town who may have some photos, and putting them together into a video or a DVD of some sort, and then giving that to the Ohio Historical Society, keeping a copy here, keeping a copy at our local library, etc. So that was an idea that I had during a phone discussion with our consultants. So do not know what their reaction is going to be to that.
I don't know if this was mentioned, if you mentioned it or not, but I just noticed just from looking at this, when DP&L gave this dam, as mentioned here on this timeline, the dam, part of the deed was it would never become a source of electric power again. So that's correct. And so that kind of answers the question we had last month, that, there's really not a possibility for the dam to be redeveloped for power. So then just kind of reaffirms that.
I have a copy of
Okay.
I have a copy of the said deed that mentions that too. I can give a copy of this to all of council as well for your records.
That and just the estimate that it takes $7 million to get the dam operating again, to function electronically
Oh,
on
wow.
the other fact sheet. That
Right.
it takes 70 years to pay off, $7 million investment.
There were several people who gave that information, including a Mr. Snyder in a letter that he addressed to council, that Matt should have a copy of.
Several local residents around that area have stated that after removal of the dam will be like Englewood, where it is, in their opinion, totally destroyed the area. What comment do you have on that?
Well, as far as totally destroying the area, I without understanding what it is they are describing, I can't comment to that particular statement. But when the dam is removed, the river is going to revert back to where it was 100 years ago. It'll be a river as opposed to a lake. For the first year or two, there may be more sediment, maybe more muddy, but over a period of time, that will fill in, and there will be more native vegetation that will take root. So it'll resume its, as I say, its historic flow, its historic look, as opposed to being a lake. So the Englewood Dam came out a couple of years ago, expecting that that would revert to a natural state within a couple of years, where it took, I don't want to say how long it took to achieve its historic look, but I think there will be a certain amount of time before it will look like a natural river again, as opposed to the next day or the next year looking pristine.
You mean by the water, like the water flow? Just one time I lived up near the dam
I'm sorry?
in Inglewood, and the water, of course, of the dam, it was like a lake, like you said, back up into the dam area, the park. Then when they took that out, the water went down, and you could almost walk across like getting water over your 8-inch boots. That's about the way it is now, unless it comes a rainstorm or whatever. And that's supposed to help the fish mix and get up the river. We get more, different fish that can travel. And I think that's what the Fish and Game were really interested in. But, so this is what's supposed to be like 100 years ago, hardly any water at all there.
Well, if I
There's
recall.
a flow through there.
Right. If I recall correctly, though, with the Englewood situation, the dynamics involved, it was not just the river per se, but also there to the northeast of the river, there is a lake area. And so the dynamics of the flow are different than what is here, where you just have the river that will be flowing. The diversity, there was I think I referenced in my history and project timeline, a report issued by Ohio EPA as far as the biologic diversity upstream of the dam as well as downstream of the dam. And once the dam comes out, meaning the West Milton Dam comes out, the fish diversity and species diversity will be greater than it is now, and will also revert more to a river species as opposed to lake species, as well as the macroinvertebrate community upon which the fish feed will also increase, where right now you have depths of 10 feet or so as you move back from the dam.
Yeah, we're gonna lose the backup from the dam, the lake like.
Correct.
It's gonna drop the water table, like in the river.
Not water table, you'll just...
Drop the water
Water
flow
level.
of the river.
Right. And so you'll get a different species dynamic. It'll just be it'll be a different river than it currently is. That's correct.
We received a report of the initial assessment, or the first assessment, after the Inglewood Dam was removed. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, and I apologize if it was Ohio EPA or ODNR, but it really gave a more, I guess the best way is a very positive review, or a thumbs up, when it came to the biologic diversity that has occurred, the change. Is that something that we can expect, or is that a goal, I assume, of ODNR, of improving the health and quality and diversity of the river?
Well, I think that's an expectation and anticipation. As far as the timing of any report is concerned, that I can't comment on. I don't know when they're going to get in there and issue any reports or evaluations.
When we received that report, I shared it with council. It's probably been at least a year or more since that report came out.
I believe there was also an article in the Dayton Daily News
Okay.
that commented on that.
I just want to ask to make sure I'm clear on the historical or the comments that are open to the Army Corps of Engineers. That's not a time frame of, I don't want to use the word protest, but that's not an open hearing for trying to save the dam. It's strictly for the historical preservation of that.
That's correct.
And not necessarily the preservation of the dam itself, but the historical facts about it before it's removed.
That's correct.
Okay.
Now, based on my experience, you can send whatever you, not you, but anyone can send anything to the Corps. So if they want to bootstrap and put other comments on, the Corps will read those comments. So,
Right.
they are not precluded from filing comments on every aspect to the project.
Okay.
Okay.
We appreciate you coming and answering our questions, taking your time out this evening.
Well,
and,
thank you very
being
much
here
for
with
inviting-
us. I
for
don't know, does
inviting.
anyone else have any other questions or? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I brought a bunch of guests tonight. I have another one. That's true. He's a member. If you'll recall, it's been six to 8 months ago, DP&L put together a community savings program that has been marketed over the summer. And that program goes until, I believe, May of this year. I've had some conversations with Mr. Stallman from DP&L. He would like to give you a review of that and also introduce you to, I believe, another program that DP&L would like to invite interest and council consideration for savings for our community. So I'd like to give the floor to Bob.
Thank you very much, Matt. For all of you and those at home, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk with you today. My name is Bob Stallman. I'm Director of Community Development for DPL Energy Resources. And I actually wanted to provide a little bit of education and some information as it relates to government aggregation and the community savings program that we have for the Municipality of West Milton and obviously with some other communities in the DP&L service territory. If you would, do all of you have a copy of the presentation? If you would turn to page 2, just to begin and give you a little bit of background as it relates to DPL Energy Resources. We're an unregulated affiliate of Dayton Power and Light. We were actually incorporated in 2000. And what we do is we provide customers with generation service at competitive base market prices and supply options versus the utility or Dayton Power and Light, which provides their services at a regulated type of product. We're one of the largest retailers in the United States. Since we initiated in 2000, we've now grown to over 3,000 accounts, and we are continuing to grow through that. We have experience with a number of different types of customer groups: industrial customers, commercial customers, school groups, other forms of buying groups. And we also currently provide generation service to many of the local governments in the DP&L service territory as it relates to their city buildings, fire stations, police stations, water plants, all of those different types of things, and they produced significant savings. And we are ultimately part of an organization that's been around for over 100 years, and our supply headquarters or our local headquarters are still in the Dayton community, and so many of the people that work for our organization are the same people that have been part of either Dayton Power and Light or work with communities in a number of different type of voluntary activities. Before I actually, and I'm going to spend most of the time, if you could turn to the next page, obviously talking about the retail electric market. But before I do that, there is one thing that I wanted to discuss, or mention it, I should say, as it relates to Dayton Power and Light, because I think it has an impact as it relates to the choices that consumers are going to make over the next several months as it relates to electric choice. Dayton Power and Light filed what is known as an electric security plan in October of 2012. They filed a revised plan in December of 2012, and that ESP, or that electric security plan, was ultimately approved by the Public Utilities Commission a little after Labor Day with some slight modifications. Now, as you would, as any plan of this nature gets approved, there's many, many components and many, many things that are taking place with it. But the point I want to specifically make as it relates to this is that Dayton Power and Light is going to be moving their generation or electric supply pricing from a traditional regulated rate structure to a market-based rate structure over the next 3 years, 5 months. And what I mean by that is over the past 100 years, the utility has traditionally provided generation or electric supply service based on its cost of assets, or what's referred to as an asset model. Very similar to what a local government would do as it relates to their rates for their water plants or sewer plants. You base it on your actual assets, your debt service, your cost, all of those different types of things. Dayton Power and Light is going to be moving their rate structure as it relates for that electric or generation supply away from that model to a market-based model, in which at the end of the term, or at the end of that 3-year, 5-month period, it will be strictly based on what the market says the price for electric or generation supply should be. They currently started that trend this year, and so it went into effect January of this year, and it's going to be sort of a blended or phased-in process of the wholesale electric or the competitive market pricing along with the tariff pricing or the existing rate structure to do that over that period of time. But I think it's important that individuals or consumers realize what is going on as they look at their options over the next several months and obviously over that next 3-year, 5-month period of time. If you would turn to the next page, I want to briefly touch base a little bit as it relates to government aggregation. Electric choice enables local governments in Ohio, really provides them a couple of different options, and those options are referred to as aggregation. And simply the intent of aggregation is for a local government to form a group, their particular jurisdiction, form a group of the residents and small businesses in that community to be the buying group, to select for them who that supplier should be in order of getting a potentially better rate and reaping some savings for everyone that's included in that group. What I just described to you there is what's referred to as opt-out aggregation. And because it is inclusive in nature, where everyone is automatically included, that is a particular type of product or service which requires the residents to give you approval to do that. And so when I say give you approval to do that, that issue has to be placed on the ballot for residents to approve that particular type of aggregation, to give council the opportunity to participate in that. We've assisted some governments to do that throughout the state of Ohio, and in fact, outside of the state of Ohio, there are different types of procedures that you must abide by to implement that type of process. I've listed some of those down there on the third bullet point as it relates to being certified as a government aggregator, developing something called a plan of operations and governance, holding a couple of public meetings, and all of those various types of things. Again, we have helped communities through that process in order for them, if they are interested in that type of aggregation, to perform that. On the next page, you will see a little bit of information as it relates to the particular timeline, if that is an option that communities want to participate in. Obviously, if you're looking at placing something on the ballot for residents to give approval to do that, there are 2 different times during the year in which residents can do that, one of which is the primary election in May, and the other is the general election in November. So for any government that is interested in placing it on the ballot in May, obviously they have to pass a resolution or ordinance sometime by early February to do that particular type of thing. And then as you would see in the rest of the information there, if that is something that a government actually does or wants to do and gets approval from the residents, you have to form a plan of operations and governance. You have to hold a couple of public hearings, those types of things. But the actual program after that type of process would probably begin somewhere in the September-October timeframe. So it takes about 5 months to actually implement that government aggregation program. Again, we as a supplier, or an unregulated competitive retail electric supplier, assist governments through that entire process to get that started. If you would go to page 6, all I'm doing really there is just listing a little bit of information about the number of communities and some of the activities that we're doing as it relates to government aggregation. We're providing programs, as it states there, both in Ohio and in Illinois, and through various territories or utility territories, throughout the state of Ohio, being in the Duke territory, First Energy, AEP, all of those. And we're actively working with a few governments that placed it on the ballot in November, and it passed, to see if they really are going to implement a program and if we can be their supplier to do so. On page 7, the whole intent of electric choice that was really passed several years ago is to give all consumers the option or the opportunity to select an alternative electric supplier if they want to do that. As it relates to the residential customer in the DP&L service territory, we have provided and continue to provide mass market residential offers to them. I've just listed some of them there for you as it relates to the various terms and the various prices for that. It's very easy for customers to enroll in these type of programs. There is a 1-800 number there, or you can go to our website, DPL Energy. Another thing that I would suggest for consumers if they're looking for this type of thing, the Public Utilities Commission lists a apples to apples comparison on their website where you can see the different offers that are there from suppliers, obviously not in just the DP&L service territory, but in other utility service territories also. Mr. Klein mentioned the Community Savings Program. Just to give you a little bit of background on this, as we were out and have been out talking to local governments over the past probably now 2 years, past 24 months, there were a number of governments that obviously weren't interested in government aggregation, but were interested in helping residents take advantage of the competitive market environment. And if there was a way to assist them in their own individual choice, they wanted to do that. And that's what we were doing through the Community Savings Program. Just to provide some details, in this particular program, we entered into an agreement with West Milton, in which we were recognized as an endorsed supplier in the community. And based on that endorsement, we've provided a price that was below our residential mass market offers. That price is 6.25 cents per kilowatt hour. And for those that participated in that program, when you look at it in comparison to DP&L's price to compare or their electric generation offer, it was about 35% lower based on last year's DP&L's electric supply price. Based on the communities based on the individuals that did that, on an annualized basis, you probably saved about anywhere from $250 to $300 annually on your bill. So it's a really good opportunity for residents to look at things, kind of evaluate the other options, because they had the opportunity to select if they wanted to participate, and they also had the option to determine based on a number of different factors what was the appropriate type of product for them. So it worked out really well. Some of the results of that are listed on the next page. Just to give a little bit of background on that, we started, I think, sending out those letters in January of 2013. So it's really been a long time. I know it goes pretty fast, but that's been quite a while. We sent out about 1,900 letters. We obviously followed that up with other types of ways to communicate that program, either through postcards, through some telemarketing, some other things. We currently have 420 residents that are involved in that program, or about 22% of the letters that went out. That's a very, very good percentage as it relates to this particular type of program. So the community should be pretty proud of that type of participation. That's one of the highest that we have out there for this type of program. And again, as it indicates there on the last bullet, we have about 18 communities currently in the DP&L service territory that are participating in that program. Well, as Mr. Klein mentioned, that particular program expires May of 2014. And so what we have done is developed a proposal that we want you to consider or think about as it relates to extending this program. Some of the key points of this, and I've discussed a couple of these with Mr. Klein, but this particular program would be a longer-term sort of nature and would go through May of 2017. Rather than have a fixed price, because the competitive market environment is going to change, obviously, over that time frame, and we'll continue to do that because the electric market or the electric generation price is a commodity. What we've decided to offer is something that's a price that will always be 0.05 cents lower than our residential mass market offers that are out there. And so in this particular case, if the mass market rate was 6.25, the rate for the consumers or residents that would participate in this would get it at 6.20 cents. And so it's something that's a little bit of a change. It still leaves the option to participate to the resident, so they get to evaluate this versus whether they want to stay with the utility or they want to look at another supplier. Just like the other program, if a DP&L energy customer is currently with us and they want to get it, or they want to take advantage of this, they can switch without any cancellation or termination fee. We will continue, or we desire to continue to use the community's logo to be able to promote and communicate this to the residents. And the last point there is we want to make as part of this particular agreement, and we have done this anyways, but I was wanting to make sure that it was written within the agreement that any time we use the logo on any of the prevented or printed information, we would provide a copy or provide that documentation to Mr. Klein so the council would have an opportunity to see that before it actually went out to any of the residents within the community. So there are a couple of other things, but this is basically the highlights. I didn't want to take a great deal of time to sort of explain this. But those are some of the things as it relates to the proposed amendment. And that really is my presentation as it relates to government aggregation and giving you a little bit of an update on the Community Savings Program. And at this time, I'll entertain any questions, comments.
Will you be at the workshop this month?
Yes, which
No
is the
pressure.
28th, correct?
It's 28th.
28th, yes.
So I'll read over
Yeah, I
that.
took a couple of times off there because I was sick and due to the holidays, so I'm sure all of you were kind of missing me a little bit. Any other questions or comments?
I would like to discuss this further detail at the workshop. Just a
Okay.
reminder, this is the first Tuesday of the month, which is the beginning of the term. We're still on a fourth Tuesday of the month for the workshop, which is the 28th.
Great, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Stoner.
Thank you.
Just a couple other items, Mayor, Council. For 25-plus years, and I apologize, I don't have the exact date, but I will. The council has been blessed with the services of Mr. Charles Sell as our law director. In having discussions with Chuck, we have decided it would be best that, and I've prepped the council for this about 6 months ago, that we would like to, and it would be my recommendation, that I would like to appoint Lene Brosh as our law director starting today. But as I understand it in the charter, this is a charter position that would need my recommendation to council with council approval.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion we follow Manager Klein's recommendation and appoint Ms. Brosh as our law director.
I second that.
I'll entertain a motion, or, well, you made the motion. Yeah. Any discussion? Roll call.
Francis?
Yes.
Willis?
Yes.
Tinnerman?
Yes.
Vogel?
Yes.
Ashley?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
And Mayor Cook?
Yes.
In speaking with Chuck, there would actually be trading places, so Mr. Sell will now become the assistant law director as well. But doing this, I get the opportunity to swear in Ms. Brosh this evening. You're probably practiced at this since you already did 3 of these tonight. Yeah, really? Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Lene Brosh,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Charter of the Municipality of West Milton, Ohio,
and the Charter of the Municipality of West Milton, Ohio,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties of the office of Director of Law
discharge the duties of the office of Director of Law
for the Municipality of West Milton,
for the Municipality of West Milton,
State of Ohio,
State of Ohio,
during my continuance in said office.
during my continuance in said office.
Thank you and congratulations. Today was supposed to be a normal trash day for West Milton, but I would say that today's weather was not normal. They did attempt to actually come out, but their diesel trucks just would not work. So right now, and we're trying to get the word out as best as possible, but right now, pickup this week will be this Thursday. So pickup will be this Thursday, and then, of course, it'll go back to the Tuesday after next week. I'd like to take the opportunity to recognize Ben and his men. They've been putting in a tremendous amount of hours. Like I said, this weather is completely abnormal, but I understand it's supposed to get a little bit warmer by this Friday. I understand now why he asked me not to leave this weekend, so. That's an inside joke for anybody, because every time I leave, there's a big bad storm that comes. So Ben doesn't like that, so I'm not allowed to leave. And finally, on behalf of, I believe I can say this, on behalf of City Council and the citizens of West Milton, would like to wish our Vice Mayor a happy birthday. Just a reminder that this is the first Tuesday, so it's the fourth Tuesday. The 28th is their workshop, so don't show up 2 weeks from now. And Park Board is now going to start meeting beginning this month, the third Tuesday of every month. And we should be having our first joint session with the new term of council and the joint session. I believe it was scheduled for the last Thursday. I will verify that with Ginny Rammel in the township, and I'll get a memo out to you, remind you. And we are the host. That's it.
And Dr. Rammel's cooking, right?
What's that?
And Jenny's cooking.
Yeah, that was what was decided last time, yeah.
Is this mild stuff for you?
No.
No?
No, just the beard is the model.
Next year? Next year.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Klein.
Oh, I'm sorry. One other item I'd like to give to Ben.
Manager Klein touched on the storm. The one thing I did want to say was, it's just a good community to work in. Manager Klein can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we had any complaints over the storm. Back in the 80s, I was here, so I'm kind of dating myself. These aren't a little more common back in the 80s, and we had a lot less equipment. So we just kind of understood that we're going to be in bad shape for a long time. I want to thank the public for their patience. It's been a rough couple days. I know the wastewater plant has been struggling to keep thawing out. And Tim's crew also helped me, so I got to give a shout out to Tim. But to the residents, 0 complaints means a lot to us. It helps us, and it really does help our men feel like our crew are doing their job. And number 2, our drivers are courteous to us. I mean, they will actually stop. They'll let us, do what we need to do in the middle of an intersection without beeping, without having to get around us. They will wave us out ahead of them. So I want to thank the community for moving those cars. I'm just glad we didn't get that foot of snow, because I can tell you these are cold, blowy snows, and we would have tires on the road right now, busting grips, and we got that foot of snow also. So I just want to thank the community for bearing with us and being courteous to our
glad to meet you. Thank you, and all the guys that work on you. I see you out there all the time. I know how bad it is with the broken water lines and all the bad weather, so we thank you.
And I have to, this being such a hard cold with making first the rain going straight to ice on the roads, we've had surprisingly few fender benders that or accidents that the police department has had to respond to. So, I mean, we've had some, but so has every other community. But that's a tribute to, I think, people being smart in how they're driving, so that's good.
And staying home.
Yes.
Thank you, Ben and Tim. You guys get some rest. That all you have, Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Does council have any old business they'd like to discuss this evening? There any new business? Okay. I welcome any comments from citizens before we adjourn. Okay. All those in favor to adjourn, say aye. Oh, Mr. Klein, hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry. There
Oh,
is,
I thought you were ready to
because
say
of our beginning of new council and a new council member, please stay afterwards. We have, the ladies have put together some punch and cake. So I need a volunteer to cut the cake. So.
Thank you. All those in favor to adjourn, say aye. Aye. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to make a motion.